The Kth'avri Sentinel had stood motionless in the center of New Geneva Station for 1,358 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Its crystalline hull, once blazing with protective energy, had dimmed to a dull amber glow that barely illuminated the reverent shrine built around it. Commander Zexathala of the Galactic Preservation Council stood before the towering construct, her 4 arms folded in a traditional mourning posture. The bioluminescent patches along her elongated neck flickered with deep purple, the color of profound sorrow among her people. "Another failure," she whispered to her aide, Lieutenant Vorchin. "The Alterion technomancers couldn't even access the primary systems." "How many does that make?" 47 different species have attempted restoration, Commander. The consensus remains unchanged. The Guardian's quantum consciousness core has achieved true entropy death. Cannot be awakened. Zexathala's mandibles clicked in frustration. The Kth'avri Sentinel represented more than just ancient technology. It was the last of its kind, a Guardian construct that had protected countless worlds from the void plague that swept through this sector millennia ago. Its sacrifice had saved trillions of lives, but at the cost of burning out its irreplaceable consciousness matrix. Commander Vorchin's voice carried an odd inflection. "The humans have requested an audience." "Humans?" Zexathala's neck patches shifted to confused yellow. "They've only achieved faster-than-light travel within the last century. What could they possibly? They claim they can fix it." The silence stretched between them like the vacuum of space. Finally, Zexathala's patches flashed bright red, the color of incredulous anger. 47 species with technological traditions spanning millions of years have failed. And these newcomers think they can succeed? The Kth'avri used quantum crystalline matrices beyond our current understanding. The humans haven't even mastered transdimensional energy manipulation. Nevertheless, they've been quite insistent. Their representative has been waiting outside for 6 hours. Zexathala sighed, a sound like wind through crystal chimes. "Very well. Send them in. If nothing else, it will provide some entertainment before I file the final closure report." The human who entered was not what she expected. Short, even by their species standards, with grease-stained coveralls and an expression of casual confidence that bordered on arrogance. He carried a battered toolbox that looked primitive compared to the sleek quantum manipulators the previous specialists had brought. "Commander Zexathala, name's Jake Martinez. Station maintenance. Heard y'all got a big robot that won't turn on." The casual tone made Zexathala's patches flare crimson. "This is the Kth'avri Sentinel, human. It is a sacred Guardian construct, not some malfunctioning appliance." Jake whistled low, craning his neck to look up at the 30-meter-tall construct. "Yeah, she's a beauty, all right. Mind if I take a look at her? 47 different. Look, no disrespect to the fancy folks with their glowing doohickeys," Jake interrupted, already walking around the base of the Sentinel, running his hands along its surface. "But sometimes you need a mechanic, not a scientist." Jake continued inspecting the structure. "See, here's the thing about machines. Doesn't matter if they're made of gears or quantum crystals or whatever, they all got the same basic problem when they break down." "Enlighten us," Zexathala said dryly. "They're not getting power where they need it." Jake knelt beside a barely visible seam in the construct space. "All these experts probably focused on the fancy computer brain, right? Tried to jumpstart the consciousness matrix. The quantum crystalline consciousness core is indeed the most complex component, but it ain't the first thing that needs juice." Jake popped open his toolbox and pulled out what looked like a simple multimeter. "See, I spent all morning reading through the technical specs your folks provided. Fascinating stuff, really. But you know what? What? The Sentinel's been sitting here for over 1,000 years, right? Running on whatever backup power it had left after that big fight. Even alien super batteries run down eventually." Jake's crude instrument beeped as he pressed it against various points on the construct's hull. "Yep, thought so. The primary power coupling is completely drained. But look at this." He pointed to a section where his device showed different readings. "There's still juice in the emergency reserves, but there's a break in the connection. Probably a blown fuse or burnt relay." "Impossible," Vorchin interjected. Kthavri technology doesn't use such primitive. Every advanced civilization thinks they've moved beyond the basics, Jake interrupted. Now lying on his back and sliding under a maintenance panel nobody else had noticed. But physics is physics. Energy's got to flow from point A to point B. And sometimes the simplest things break first. Metallic clanging echoed from within the construct as Jake worked. Found it. Quantum flux regulator seized up tighter than a politician's wallet. Probably happened during the power drain cycle when the Sentinel went into hibernation. More clanging followed, along with some very human cursing. There we go. Jake's voice was muffled but triumphant. Just needed some percussive maintenance and a wire bypass. Sometimes you've got to convince stubborn machines to cooperate. The change was immediate. The Sentinel's amber glow brightened to gold, then brilliant white. Ancient systems hummed to life with a sound like singing crystal. The massive construct's head turned downward for the first time in over a millennium. Optical sensors blazing with renewed awareness. When it spoke, its voice resonated through every soul present. Status report. Guardian protocol reactivated. Threat assessment in progress. Gratitude acknowledged. Small engineer. Jake slid out from under the panel, grinning and wiping his hands on a dirty rag. No problem, big guy. Just remember to get regular maintenance checks. Okay? As alerts sounded throughout the station and beings from across the galaxy began celebrating the impossible, Saxathalus stared at the human in amazement. How? She whispered. Jake shouldered his toolbox and headed for the door. Like I said, Commander, sometimes you don't need to understand how something works. You just need to know how to fix it when it doesn't. The Kthavri Sentinel's sensors tracked the departing human, filing away data about the species that had succeeded where all others had failed. In its vast databases, it made a notation that would prove prophetic in the years to come. Human methodology. Unorthodox but effective. Recommend priority cooperation protocols.